welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Ash and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. A little bit of housekeeping before we get on to our main topic today, which is the OG pilot of the OG L Word. So if you want to skip ahead, it's only going to be a few minutes of a few things. I'll put the times down below anyway. If you just came here for the L Word content, I won't be offended. First of all, thank you so much to everyone who subscribed to my channel. I hit over 1,000 subscribers last weekend and I honestly just can't believe it. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Thank you. It was so weird today to wake up on a Sunday and not have new L Word. I know it's only been back for 2 months, but it kind of made me a bit sad not having an episode to review today, hence me doing a review for the pilot. I also just wanted to let you guys know that this week I might not have as much content up, or there might be content going up at strange times, so make sure you've got your notifications turned on. My regular day job, it's an extremely busy time for us right now, so I have to travel next week for work, so I won't have as much time to make content for the channel, but after this week it'll slow down a little bit, so thank you for being patient. Also, I am planning on doing this retro react review format going on for the future. Sunday seems like a good day. I have time to watch the episode. So if anyone else wants to follow along and watch with me, obviously I've watched part 1 and 2 this week and we'll continue to do one episode every week. If there's going to be a break or anything, I'll let you guys know in advance, probably on Instagram, or if I can get the community page added to my YouTube soon, I'll do that as well. But follow me on Instagram, the .ash.silver, and I'll put all the information on there as well and remind you guys to watch the episode that week. So we're going to turn our clocks back 16 years to the 18th of January 2004 and talk about the first ever episode of the L Word. Because obviously I'm sure everyone who's watching this video has seen the episode at least once, if not multiple times. I'm not going to do it in a typical review, going scene by scene, explaining what's happening, because we have hopefully all seen the episode a few times. I do just want to talk about everybody individually, and as we do have quite a big cast, if I did it scene by scene for the 2 parts, this video also would probably be about 2 hours long. So let's get right into it, guys. So let's start off with a character I'm sure we all love or hate. Nobody ever really has an ambivalent reaction to this person, Jenny. I don't know how to feel seeing her in the pilot. It's because her from season 5 and 6, I just keep thinking about all that coming. But if I try and look at it from the point of view of going in there and looking at it as I did when obviously I was watching the show for the first time, Jenny never really spoke to me as a character. I didn't really relate to her on a lot of levels. She just always kind of bothered me. It was that kind of pretentious writer thing. And also in season 1, I don't know whether when they were putting the show out, they were so worried about not getting an audience, when in reality the L Word, I think still to this day, is one of the top rated shows on Showtime. I think that they were still trying to capture a large heterosexual audience, and I'm not saying that you have to be gay to watch the show. One of my really good friends in high school, she's always been a big fan of the show. One of my best friends has recently got into the show, and her husband watch it together and absolutely love it. Anyone can watch the show, but they did have, in the first season, obviously they had Tim, who was one of the leads, straight male character, and in the pilot and throughout the first season there's a lot of Tim, Jenny sex scenes. Obviously it's very graphic and things too. Like I know the women's scenes are as well, but I always found that they kind of dropped that after the first season, that they knew, okay, the show's popular enough, we don't need to do this. Honestly, that could have just been a coincidence, and because obviously Jenny was a main character and she was in the relationship with a man at the time, maybe it was just that also, and I'm thinking way too much about it. So as we all know, throughout the episode, Jenny first arrives in LA, and pilots always go through this issue of they need to introduce the audience to all these characters, get a bit of their backstory, but not have it so it looks like, hi, this is Bet and she does this and she's married to this person and this is Jen. So they can't just have 2 hours of a show introducing people. So the way that they had Jenny arrive and everybody meets the rest of the cast through Jenny's eyes, like obviously that worked pretty well. And the main thing about Jenny, obviously she lives next to Bet and Tina, so that's kind of our segue into the group. Because they live next door, Bet and Tina are trying to be nice and they invite Jenny and Tim to their party, where they are basically having a party to try and find sperm, which we'll get to that in a minute. Jenny and Marina, from the party onwards, start a weird affair where they go from Jenny in the beginning of the episode is landing in LA to be with Tim, and throughout the 2 parts, Jenny and Marina have kissed in the bathroom, started this weird sexual tension, and by the end of the episode they sleep together. And also, after they've slept together, the day after, Tim proposes to Jenny, and from that point onwards they're engaged. The Jenny character, to me, also, because okay, she's always identified as heterosexual as far as we know, and she's obviously going through a lot and having these feelings for someone else. She does start this huge affair with Marina behind Tim's back. Obviously it wasn't just the fact that Jenny's cheating on Tim with Marina, there was a lot of other issues that I had with her character, but for the most part, still in the first episode she already started to annoy me, and the whole Sarah Schuster thing came in, and I mean, at least we weren't at the manatee stage, but she was still pretty obnoxious with the whole writing thing and just her general bizarre behavior. Going back and watching the pilot now kind of made me realize how actual little screen time Alice, Dana and Shane had, and how minuscule screen time Kit had. I believe the short screen time with Kit is because, I'm sure everybody knows this that's watching, originally Kit's character was no relation to Bet, and she was lesbian in the show, and I think this is when it was still called Earthlings, and the Kit character had the chart. It wasn't anything to do with Alice, and Kit had the chart tattooed on her back. So when they realized that wasn't working for whatever reason, they changed the Kit character, made her into Bet's half-sister, assigned the chart to Alice, and I think they reshot the stuff with Kit, and that's why she's in the pilot very little. You only have like that one scene of her basic, not with any of the other cast, where she's driving and the cop takes her to Bet's house, and then she has the scene at Bet's house, which is very, very short, and there's the one scene with Bet where Bet drives to Kit's afterwards. And I did kind of forget how when the show started, Bet and Kit weren't in a great place, and it does show you over the 6 seasons how much they did grow and become closer, and Kit really got herself together, got her life together, and makes it even sadder what we've just seen on Generation Q. So that did like make me think a lot, like, poor Kit, Dana in this episode, she always makes me laugh so much. A big part of it is to do with the fact that she's masquerading as straight with Harrison, who, oh my god, like He even trots out the line at the party about what does a lesbian bring to a second date, and it just, that joke just cracks me up because it's so true. And he's sitting there drinking a Cosmo. But Dana was great in this episode. I've always really liked her character. Again, someone who we don't get a huge amount of screen time. There's the few group scenes at the planet that they all have, but overall, not too much. Just, she does bring a lot of the comedy to the show, and you know, the others making fun of her and stuff for being in the closet. I think pretty much every Dana scene, Alice was in the scene with her too. Alice, even, I think that a lot of shows have this problem too with the pilots, where obviously it's brand new. Like everyone from the writers to the sets to the actresses, it's so fresh and new, and things do get rejigged and changed sometimes from the pilot that didn't quite work, and but you can still see the groundwork and the really strong actresses like Jennifer Beals, Leisha Haley, where still to this day, 16 years later, they're still playing that character in the same way. Leisha Haley, just, she has that great acting skill where you feel like she'd be exactly like that in real life. Like it's just so natural. Alice is always one of the characters that I think she has a lot of the best lines. I just love the way Leisha Haley plays this character, and she's an unapologetic gossip and is who she is. I really like it. And one of the best scenes for Alice and Dana is at the end of part 2, where Alice is explaining the chart to Dana, and you even get like Alice mentioning that she slept with Bet. Very first scene with Alice, she does mention that she's bisexual too, and I don't think in Generation Q that's ever been mentioned or spoken about, so I'm sure she still does identify as a bisexual, but it's just something that hasn't been brought up on Generation Q. But overall, Alice and Dana, some of the best scenes in the pilot. Really enjoy both those characters. Both actors did a great job too. That leads me on to Shane. We don't see crazy amounts of in the first episode. We are getting the groundwork laid for Shane, the womanizer, and Bet does say the classic line of, have you ever noticed when Shane enters a room, someone leaves it crying? Shane hasn't had a huge amount of character development. One thing that I've always liked about Shane is she's always been such a great friend to everyone and someone who's really there for everyone. But we don't see too much of that in the pilot. Some very interesting fashion choices for Shane in the pilot. I mean, this show's in 2004. Like a lot of the things that people wear was, I was 17 in 2004, and you know, for that era, most of the clothes are pretty accurate. But with the low-rise jeans and big chunky belts and stripy highlights and things. But Shane, especially that outfit at the very end when she's talking to Bet and Tina when they're on the porch, good God, that leather thing, oh my God. Anyway, not too much Shane in the episode, but the character has obviously stood the test of time, and still we're watching her 16 years later. So I would say of the two main plots, main leads as well, we had Jenny, Marina, and Tim, and then the other lead main plot characters is definitely Bet and Tina. Very interesting to see them again right at the beginning, now knowing everything we know. I think I've mentioned this in some of my L Word reviews before, like how it's so interesting seeing things like, oh, when Marcus Allenwood comes and they're obviously trying to have a baby and stuff, and now we see that character on screen. It just, I don't know, like I know it's obvious, or when they do a callback or something, but I just always think it's so nice, like we're kind of in on it. The whole thing about Bet and Tina trying to get pregnant, trying to get sperm, it doesn't sit with me well as a person. Whenever I look at the characters and then knowing what we know now, it also just does not fit with them. I cannot imagine control freak, type A to the max person, Bet Porter, because I'm a little bit like that. Okay, a lot like that. They have her appear as though she's just casually going around asking men for sperm, and her only kind of thought is that they need to be an artist. That would never happen. Bet Porter would have some exclusive, PhD applicants only sperm bank. Like, she would not just be going around asking random people. And also, who does that? Like, imagine if you went to a party and a lesbian couple literally is propositioning you for your sperm. I can't imagine that this is based on someone's actual experience, or I know plenty of lesbian couples that have babies, and I've never been to a party with any of them where they were asking men for sperm. Please, if you know a lesbian couple or have been to a party where a lesbian couple has been asking for sperm, please put it in the comments down below, because I just don't think it happens. Putting my grievances with the sperm procurement aside, even just the beginning of the episode where they're showing Bet and Tina like lying in bed, waking up and getting up and doing the ovulation test and getting ready and things. Stuff like that, like, it seems like no big deal. As I said before, like, I was a teenager when I started watching this. I didn't watch it the year it came out. I started in 2005 watching it, and I cannot express how much it affected me watching this and knowing that there was other people out there like me. When I first started watching it, it was with my high school, university girlfriend, and we couldn't believe it that there was people like us being shown on TV. Before I moved to America, where I grew up, that I just didn't see gay people. And whenever you're looking to the media, there was just these tiny little glimpses. I did a video last week about LGBTQ representation and why it's important, and I'll link it in the description down below, and about Batwoman, Orange is the New Black, and all these other characters being shown and why it's so important. And it is because when I was 17, 18, and I knew I was gay from when I was 9, and I thought it was something I'd have to hide forever, and the only thing I'd ever see is, an episode of Friends, a few times a year they would show Carol and Susan and they'd be the butt of the joke or something. To be able to look and see yourself accurately reflected in a positive way on TV, I can't express how important this show was in me accepting myself for who I am. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel that way. I still don't think the show is recognized for how much it does in that way. Like, okay, it doesn't go and win 10 Emmys and 5 Golden Globes, but what it's done for people, just normal everyday people, is pretty unbelievable. They do lay the groundwork for Bet and Tina. Yes, from the outside everyone thinks they're this happy perfect couple, but Dan Foxworthy in the first episode, I'm sure they still were going to him until recently. And they do seem to have struggles, obviously, but you can tell they still really, really love each other, and they are trying to get pregnant and start a family, but there are a few cracks beginning to appear. And I think that it's really interesting to look at them as a couple then, and how much they really did both work to get where they were in season 6. I mean, when we left them, they were so happy and things were different. Like, Tina was more herself and Bet was allowing Tina in more, and that's why I just still, like, even seeing them in this episode, it really, like, I know that they're not real, but it really breaks my heart to then see where we are with Generation Q and how everything's going down there. Obviously, everyone knows that I really want them back together. So I really would like that for next season in Generation Q, or at least some more understanding of what happened. And I just feel as though if Bet and the Carpenter had never happened, they didn't break up, and sees that this couple that we see in the pilot, they just carried on together, then I could totally see what Tina said in Generation Q and them breaking up. But not the season 6 couple. They were doing great and had worked through a lot of issues, so I still have a hard time with that, but maybe we'll get more explained next season. Also, one other thing that I think maybe this is just the fact, like I was saying before, about it's a new series, new writers, they haven't got to like total grips with the character yet. I mean, you talk to Jennifer Beals now, or one of the writers on the original L Word, like, they know everything about the character. They know how the character would react to this situation, how they would react to that situation. But when you're playing someone in a pilot, like, you don't have that background, you don't have that, I've been through this with this character and this relationship, and it's how they think, feel, act. So I'm gonna chalk this up to, it was a new show, they didn't know the characters very well, and also they kind of were grasping to see who would watch the show, what audience could be brought in. It's the scene where Bet and Tina meet the guy at Bet's talk and bring him back, basically trying to steal his sperm, because one, I just don't think Bet and Tina would do that. Like, it's pretty immoral. I just don't think that Bet, who Tina is the love of my life person, would be okay with Tina sleeping with a guy right in front of her face. I can't believe that she would be so okay with that, and brushing it off with the line, I'm okay if we make this baby together. Like, I just can't imagine that that's true. Overall, I love going back and watching this episode. Like, the scene especially, I mean, there's super hot Bet and Tina scene at the end, but the scene where they're sitting on the porch like the next morning and Shane walks past, I don't know what else to say then. It's just such a nice scene of, we're just like everyone else, and I love being introduced to their characters again. And this, you know, Dana and Harrison, I really think that is absolutely hilarious. I know that we didn't get too much of that, because obviously with Subaru and things, like, Dana finally comes out, but I really think that them masquerading as Ozzy and Harriet, as Bet puts it, that it just really always made me laugh so much. Also, is really interesting to watch the pilot now and to look at, even just not even looking at Generation Q, because it starts to get crazy when, you know, you're thinking about Angie, and here they are planning to have Angie. Like, again, I just really think that's cool. But also, just, you know, the show ran for 6 seasons. That's a really good run. Even stuff like, there's a line, I can't remember if it's Alice or Dana that says it, but it's the two of them walking back to Alice's, and I think it's Alice, and she says, yeah, we're friends, like, let's not ever sleep together. I mean, so many little things like that, like little callbacks. Overall, I will never not enjoy going back and watching the pilot. I mean, is it the best episode of the L Word? No, but is it hilarious to watch just for the fashion alone? Yes. I really enjoy it, and as I said in the beginning, people like Jennifer Beals, Leisha Haley, you can see in this one episode that just the talent that they have of making you care about these characters. What is it? Not even 2 hours of time, you really feel as though you are starting to know the characters and know who they are. And I mean, that's pretty hard to get across in such a limited amount of time. So every week I think I'm going to score the episode, and I'm gonna say my favorite scene for the episode. For the pilot, part 1 and 2, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 just because it's the pilot. There's some really great Dana Alice scenes, some really great Bet and Tina scenes, also just some odd things going on. But this is the L Word. We got basically the story of a manatee in one season, so weirder things have happened. My favorite scene is probably the scene at the very end where Bet and Tina are sitting on the porch talking, and Shane comes by and says, "It gives me hope that two people who've been together as long as you have can still make each other so happy." Let me know what your favorite scenes are from the pilot. Who was your favorite character when you first watched it? Has it changed? Mine has always been Bet and always will be Bet, no question. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And as I said, I'm going to be doing this every week, retro reviews, discussions. So I'd love if you watched along with me. Next Sunday, I'm obviously going to do episode 3. So make sure you guys are all caught up by then. Have a great day, guys. Take care. Bye.